If the rural is developed and it gets converted to an urban, that is what the development which we are supposed to see. Traditional industries are also called as what? Cottage industries. Sole trader, he only practices, but entrepreneur, he lives the business. Words, color, combination, label, logo, packaging, shape of goods, etc. are called as the conventional trademark. Hello everybody, a warm welcome to one and all. I'm Vidhyaashram from the Department of Commerce and Management in Vidhyaashram PU College, the Temple of Excellence. Welcome to all the students here in this 9th chapter, that is small business and entrepreneurship. We will learn more about what exactly the small businesses in India as well as in abroad people are practicing it, and what exactly we are supposed to know about entrepreneurship. The word entrepreneurship, what exactly it means? It is actually derived from the Sanskrit word called Antarprerana. See what a beautiful thing it is, small business and Antarprerana. Let's go with the first topic of the day, that is all about your small business. When we go with the introduction of small scale industry, we always say that this is called as SSI apostrophe S, small scale industries. Now here when we go with small scale industry, what exactly happens? Many of the entrepreneurs, they always want to start up their business, but they fail because of one reason, saying that the finance is not enough for us to start a business. But now the revolution has been changed. The way the entrepreneurs think is totally different from the way the entrepreneurs used to think like in the 20th century. So in 21st century, what happens is even we can start a business in a small quantity. We can go for it. We can go for a manufacturing. We can go for services. We can actually take the product from somebody else and distribute it. So this is what the small scale industries, they contribute huge to the economy of a country. India being a country which is a developing nation, if you understand more when it comes to the population, 135 crore population what we have, if you take a proper statistics, it is also like 138 crore population what we have right now. So accordingly, if we assume that, let's take a approximate of 130 crores and then calculate how many people are doing these small scale industries and how many economic boosters are we getting from those small scale industries. Now we need to understand that even these small scale industries are giving a support to our economy. Gone are those days when we used to think that it is only the large industries or the service sectors which used to give us the boosting in the economy, but now it's a rapid change of the industrialization as well as the thinking of the entrepreneurs that even this is widening up and prosperity is there where we get more of economy. So let's understand what exactly the small scale industries are all about. So small scale industries, they contribute significantly to the development process and act as a virtual and vital link in the industrialization in terms of production, employment and exports of economic prosperity by widening the market. So here what exactly happens is, the more and more people are into small scale industries, what happens is unemployment is reduced. So those people who are unemployed, they get employment opportunity. So one crisis is done. Next thing is the standard of living of those people who are employed. Now what will happen is it will slightly increase. That means you are actually growing. That is what the small scale industry aims at. And here those people who have indigenous skills, now they also can get more of salary and wages. So here your economy is developing, personal growth is there, standard of living is also developing. So what are the types of small scale industry? When we go with the types of small scale industry, we have the following. First is manufacturing. When we go with the word manufacturing, what happens in manufacturing, right? You manufacture something which the customers need and then you cater them. The next one is the services. Now after manufacturing any product, the customer needs something. So there are few people who only provide services. So here there are people who will only manufacture. Here there are people who will give you only services. Next is we have two more categories. Now these are the categories which we also consider as a mean of economic boosters, where we have village industries and cottage industries. So here we have village and cottage. Let me tell you here itself, cottage industries also called as the traditional industries. They are called as what? Traditional industries. So many of the government schemes, traditional industries. So many of the government schemes, what they go is, they always want to protect this traditional industries, which are like way back in 19th centuries, 18th centuries, very famous, but now because of the rapid competition and the way the big industries have taken over the market, these traditional industries are falling apart. So we have manufacturing, services, village industry and cottage industries. Coming to the manufacturing, here we have three types of manufacturing industries. We term them as small, medium and large. So what exactly is small, medium, large? In the sense, we also have something called the micro level. This is called the micro. Now micro, in the sense, the investment will not exceed 25 lakhs. The investment will not exceed how much? 25 lakhs, but it will come up to 25 lakhs too. Next is a small, where it is more than 25 lakh and less than 5 crore is what it is. Next you have the medium. Now medium, here what happens is more than 5 crore and less than 10 crore. Now large will not come in the small scale industries. So please do understand, we have, earlier we had 4, but now it has been restricted to only 3, that is micro, small and medium. The same way service sector also, earlier we had 4, but now they have taken 1, that is a large they have taken. Now again here also we have 3, that is we have micro, then we have that is small is that, and the last one is called this medium. So again micro also the same kind of a thing. Less than 25 lakh is what we go with micro, more than 25 and less than 5 crore we go with small, and then the last one is called medium, that is like more than 5 crore but less than 10 crores, and anything more than 10 crores we term them as large. But now the category of large scale has been rejected from the small scale industries or small scale businesses. Next, village industry. What exactly we mean by village industry? Now Mahatma Gandhi had quoted something. What was that? Only when the villagers will turn themselves as a town, then we can consider that our country is a developed nation. Now we need to target from the scratch, that is a village. Now there are n number of people who are skilled, there are unskilled people. Now because there is no opportunity in villages, what they usually do is they move to cities. Now when they move to cities, what will happen to the village which they have left? It will be the same way. So somebody should actually develop it. So the government of the state as well as the government of the central, what they do is, we have the bicameral kind of houses. Now what they do is, they have a particular schemes for the village industries, where they are the people who are gonna give funding as subsidiaries. Now they'll give schemes to those industries saying that you people please start it, we will actually be there to support you financially, or we will support you by giving services or marketing your product. So nowadays in the 21st century as well as in the 20th century, we can see that the village industry is slowly taking its own actions. The last one is the cottage industry, which I told you that it is also called as traditional industries. In traditional industries, what usually happens is lack of education, lack of management, which actually made the traditional industry to go really back. Now what has happened? The government have decided to give more investments and more schemes to those traditional industry called as the cottage industries. Next one we have is the role of small business in India, particularly in India, what exactly the role of small business is all about. So the first one, when we go with this, here the India enjoys a distinct position in view of their contribution to the socio-economic development. See, when we go with the word India, it is not just a country, it's a feeling that we are supposed to make our nation proud of us. So the small business in India, what it happens is, it gives a booster to the economy. So how exactly it does is socio-economic, that is, we go with socio-economic development is done in the small businesses. Development is done here. So the contribution of small industry to the balanced regional development of our country is noteworthy. Now understand, the way Delhi is and the way Bihar is, if you can compare those two, you will get to know that there is inequality. But the government is actually supporting Bihar or Uttar Pradesh or any part of the states where there is economic weaker sections. So small business, what they do is socio, in the sense societal, they'll actually think, as well as economical, that is in accordance to the profit maximization, they'll also think, and that is how they'll actually move the country. Next one here we have is role of small business in the rural India. Now earlier we went with the entire India, now it's all about rural. When we go with this rural, please do understand, we are not concentrating much about small businesses in urban cities, but in rural. Why? Because if the rural is developed and it gets converted to an urban, that is what the development which we are supposed to see. Now, village and small industries are significant as producers of consumer goods and absorbers of surplus labor, thereby addressing the problem of poverty and unemployment. So there are n number of people who have moved from their village to the urban, and now they are serving to those urban society, but they have left over their village and there is no development in the village. So here, if we go with small business in rural, what will happen is nobody will move from any other place. Now they'll be there in their own village and they'll start up their kind of a production, and standard of living will definitely increase if those products are really good with a very good quality, and now it will be moved to the urban. Now there are more and more money which they can actually generate. Next is, this industries contribute amply to other socio-economic aspects such as reduction in income inequality. See, there are a lot of states in India where you have income inequality. The way, I'll give you an example here, the way you see Goa and their living, that is the standard of living, and if you go and convert the same kind of a thing, will you accept in Jharkhand or Chhattisgarh the same kind of a quality which the Goans are actually living? Definitely no. So that is the reason here what happens, if we concentrate more of the small business in the rural India, this income inequality or the dispersed development of industries and the linkage with other sectors of the economy, there will be no problem, everything will be set right. But that will definitely take time. Our predictions are like this: 2025 in India, we will have very less villages, is what the government of the India has given us the verdict, saying that 2025, the villages which we have, now those villages will be converted as a town, or it will be converted at some of the district kind of a thing. So here what happens is, the village will have a benefit of if they open more of small businesses. Problems of small business. Now we got to know what it will take us if we can develop the small business, but we should also know and work out on the problems. Now we have micro problems as well as the macro problems. The first one here, finance. Finance is always a problem, whether it is for the small business or the large business or industries or any company firms. So finance, why? Because there are people who have creative ideas, but they don't have money to invest. Even if they have money to invest, they are a little scared that what if this business will not work out. So that is where the first problem lies in a small business called as finance. The second is the raw materials. Now it depends. See, the raw material is totally, it is dependent on the finance what you invest. The less raw material cost it will happen, that means the quality of the raw material will not be proper, and whatever they do, they can never get the proper yield of it. Managerial skill. Now, because many of the people, whoever starts a small businesses, if they are highly educated, they will not start a small business, rather they will actually be an employee of a MNC company. So any person who did not get a job in an MNC company, and if they want to come back to the village and start some businesses, now they don't have the managerial skill to get the work done from the people in an accurate way. Next is labor, and here this is a very big issue, labor. Nowadays, what people usually see is whenever they go with any small businesses, they always expect something more returns. But the reality is not like that. Whichever you invest, you will not get within a day or 2 days. You are supposed to wait. Now here you need to manage your laborer. Now laborer, what they will feel is, my boss is not having the enough money to feed me. Should I be with that person or should I go to some other business? That is what the laborers will go with. So here the finance of the raw material or manager skill and the labor, all these things are very, very important, because when you start a business, you should have little amount, you need to save amount, and you are supposed to invest it in a prior proper kind of a basis. Now labor, here what happens, they are the people who always want the daily wages to be paid very fast. Now what happens, they'll always have comparison that, okay, A is there. Say example, I'll just give you an example like this. So we have two people who started a small business, A and B. Now A is, suppose he is giving 500 rupees per day for the laborers, and B is a person who is giving 550 rupees per day. Now what usually happens is, these people who are working in A, they will actually automatically go to B. That is where the labor problem. Or here what happens, they are not happy with B, they'll come back to A. Now to make them satisfied, to make them happy, it is very difficult, and because of the laborers, many people are scared of investing in the small business. Marketing. Now they are done with, say example, finance was good, raw material was good, manager skills were good, labors were really good, but marketing, you didn't know what exactly you are supposed to do, how to reach the customers. Again, there is a problem. That's why it is not just manufacturing, it is also providing your product to a proper market. That is what is a very difficult challenge. So the next point here we have is the quality. Now what exactly the quality represents here as a problem? Supposingly all the 5 which we have listed here, there are not the problems. The real problem is the quality. What really happens is, the customers will not buy the product because they feel that quality is not being considered while manufacturing the product or giving any services. Next we have is capacity utilization, technology, sickness, and global competition. Now when it comes to global competition, now you need to understand that there are n number of companies, or the MNC companies, which always target the small business. Say example, we have Walmart, we have people like Reliance. Now they are the people, now we can't beat the competition when it comes to Walmart and Reliance. So we are supposed to be really careful on what they are producing and what we are supposed to go. There are only few people who can actually have a cutthroat competition with those people. There are n number of farmers who goes with organic kind of a thing. Now even Reliance is actually coming with organic fruits, organic vegetables. Now what happens, they are the people who have the lot of investments in them, and they have the strength to make anybody suppress. So these are the problems of a small business. Next is government assessment to the small business units. Now what the government is doing? Now the government is giving a lot of schemes, like the first one we have is NABARD, National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development, that is called NABARD. Now the government here, they set up NABARD in 1982. Now the reason being set up is, agriculture is always considered as the backbone of the economy of India, and we go with agriculture as the main occupation. So in 1982, the then Prime Minister, they all decided that we need to support the farmers, and that is how they actually went with NABARD, that is National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development. That means they always had a vision saying that we need to improve our rural culture, the village culture here. The next one is the rural small business development. Again, say this RSBDC is actually given by NABARD itself. So NABARD is the person who sponsors the rural small business development. Though we are supposed to go with NABARD, but NABARD also wants to list there are a few other categories where rural small business is there. So who will actually take care of this? That is, the rural small business development will take care of the small businesses in the villages. Next one we have is a National Small Industry Corporation, which is NSIC. Soon after our independence, there was this 5-year plan where they thought that there should be a kind of a development where the national small industry corporations, now they are supposed to get benefited. That's the reason in 1955, this was set up by the then Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru. The next one we have is Rural and Women Entrepreneurship Development. That is, here is a place where they thought that now it is not just the societal, we are supposed to see the segmentation of people where women entrepreneurs should be taken into consideration and we are supposed to help them. So what exactly happened here in rural and women entrepreneurship development, in the sense, whoever are the ladies who wanted to actually start a company, which is a small industries or the small businesses, now they can get loans in a very less interest, as well as they'll get kind of a more of benefits from the government itself. That is what the RWED was meant for. Nowadays, we can see that there are n number of ladies who have come out of their houses and they are starting their own business by taking the advantage of the government schemes, and that in return will give the economic boosters to the economy. So these are the things which we are supposed to know. The next one we have is the scheme of fund for regeneration. Please understand the word here, regeneration of traditional industries. I told you in the beginning of this class that is, traditional industries are also called as what? Cottage industries. So this is again regeneration. Earlier what used to happen, they were closed completely. Now they want that cottage industry to actually start. So that is what the scheme and the funding is done for the traditional industry. And the last one we have is the district industry centers. Even the things they have set up in the district wise, where the industry centers should be there, where people will start their small businesses and the government will take initiative and give them schemes as well as the financial assistance. And nowadays we can also see in All India Radio as well as in Doordarshan that even those people who are the farmers or the people who have started a small business, the advisors are there who will give them advices, they'll give them suggestions, and they'll have few of the camps, and educational institution is also providing them the way they are supposed to run their small businesses. So these are the things which the government has taken the initiative. Next is entrepreneurship development. Now what exactly entrepreneurship development is? I told you in the beginning of the session that entrepreneurship development, in the sense, entrepreneur, who is a person who is called an entrepreneur? That is a person who starts a business by himself. We call that person as entrepreneur. Now there is a lot of difference between a sole trader and an entrepreneur. Now sole trader, he only practices, but entrepreneur, he lives the business. So that is what the beautiful example of an entrepreneur is. Now there are n number of people whom I can quote. I'll be giving in the descriptive box that how many entrepreneurs we have in India. I'll be giving you the numbers as well, and I'll be giving you a few of the people who are really good entrepreneurs. You can take the suggestions in the coming days as well. So entrepreneurship is a French word, is what you people will get, but the real meaning of it lies in the Sanskrit word called as antarprerana. So to develop their antarprerana capacity and capability, now we are supposed to know about entrepreneurship development. So here, the person who sets up his business is called as entrepreneur. The output of the process, that is the business unit, is called enterprises. So let's understand more of entrepreneurship. Now, what are the characteristics of entrepreneurship? The first one is a systematic activity. It is not like I'll start today and I'll wind it up. No, I should be there till I get my goal achieved. Second is lawful and purposeful activity. You are supposed to start any business which should be lawful. So any business which is legal, only that business can be started or that can be taken care. Next is innovation. Entrepreneurs are the people who are the innovators. Doing something new definitely will attract more customers. Doing something which all other people have done, now it is only about competition. Organization of production and risk taking. See, this is the highlights of entrepreneurship, saying that any person who can take a risk, any person who can visualize that this is the future, any person who can actually think that I am a person who is the first and I can do it. Now, those are the people who are the characteristics of entrepreneurs they have. Startup India scheme. Now, what exactly the India startup schemes are? There are so many schemes which Indian government have taken for the startups. Now, there are n number of people who started the business, but within a month or a week or a year, they actually end up. That this should not happen. So the liquidation of business should never happen. There should always be what? More of businesses. Now, in this pandemic also, what happened? There were like crores of business which was wind up. Now, understand what will happen to the economy if crores of business will be winded up. Now, that is why we have the startup scheme, that is the Indian startup scheme. The Startup India scheme is a flagship initiative of the government of India with an objective to carve a strong ecosystem for nurturing innovation and startups in the country. This drive will lead towards sustainable economic growth and generate large-scale employment opportunities. So that's the only reason the Startup India scheme was taken into consideration. That is, unemployment will be reduced. It is not like unemployment will be completely nil. Like, we can't expect that. So they say that, again, the prediction of the government says that if we move on with a new technology, new kind of innovative ideas and creativity, and we start our own business, then 2035 is a year where we don't have even one person being unemployed. So every person can actually start or they can be an employee. So we just need to wait and watch, and let's see what will happen in 2035. Next one we have is, there are two groups which you people need to understand. The first group here is Startup India Initiative Action Points. Now, what are the action points which they have seen? And here we have way to fund startup, how the startup is being funded. So let's understand the first one, that is here, the way to fund startup. The first one is here, bootstrapping. Now, what do you mean by bootstrapping in the sense? Bootstrapping in the sense, you will risk everything whatever you have saved. That is called bootstrapping. That means the investment will come from your side. That is, whoever will start a business, that person need to actually invest all his savings. That we call it as bootstrapping. Second, we have is crowdfunding. That is, you will take pool of money from other people. Pool of money. From your relatives, from your family, from your friends, from everywhere you will take money. Next is angel investment. There are few people who will be loving to invest in your project because they see something called profit. And the first profit, whatever they get, they will take it from your business. Next, venture capital. The meaning of venture in the sense business. There are people whom you can approach and they will invest for your company or your business. Business incubator and accelerators. Now, these are the people who are the third party, who are professional in that. They will actually help you. Next is the microfinance and the NFBCS. Now, here, these are the people who will actually finance, but in return, you are supposed to pay them interest, and the interest rate is also very minimal. Coming to the Startup India Initiative Action Plan, here simplification and hand-holding. Startup India Hub has been created across India. Legal support and fast-tracking patent examination will happen. Now, if you want to take a patent, the patent will be taken care by the government itself. Easy exit, anybody can come and anybody can go anytime. Next is harnessing private sector for incubator setups. And the last one is the tax exemption. There are so many people who are doing this only for the tax exemption. Now, if tax has been levied in all the businesses, now the people will, it will be very hard for them to actually start a business. So the government initiative is what? If you are starting something called a startup in India, within India, and you come under that slab, now it is a tax exemption for you. One of the highlights here I want you people to know is, in India, if you go with agriculture, there is no tax at all. So this is what? Tax exempted. Next one we have is the intellectual properties. Now what do you mean by intellectual properties? Those are the properties which everywhere you are supposed to need it when you start any kind of a business. So what exactly it is? Intellectual property is everywhere. That is the music you listen to, that is a copyright they take, trademark they take, all these are the intellectual properties. The technology that makes your phone work, the design of your favorite car, the logo on your sneakers, etc. Now all these are what? Intellectual property. They are kind of assets for you. They are intangible assets. It exists in the things. You can see all our products of human creativity and skills, such as the inventions, the books, the printing, the song, symbol and names, as well as images. So intellectual property rights is what you are supposed to take. See, if it is yours and you don't want anybody else to copy that, what is that you will do is you will take a copyright. Now you would have seen in many of the things. Now logo. Now Maruti Suzuki logo is totally different from Hyundai logo. The reason here is very simple. That is, Hyundai, they have taken their own copyrights, their own trademark, their own registration, their own kind of a thing, which other cannot take the replica of it or duplicate it. So intellectual property rights are very, very important when you start a business. Now why is IPR important for entrepreneurs? That is a question mark. Why it is like that? So the first one is, it encourages the creation of new path-breaking inventions, such as the cancer cure medicine. See, nobody has done a cancer cure medicine. If you do it and if you take a patent of it, now nobody else can use yours. So it will give you a booster. The next is, it incentives investors, authors, creators for their work. Say example, if there is a person who's writing a book and he has written a book and he has not taken the intellectual property right. Now anybody can copy that and they can say that it is their work. So that's the reason we need to have the IPR, and it is very, very important. So here we have types of IPOs. Which are the types of IPOs? Now there are three. One is law, technology, business. These are the IPOs. First one is law, second is technology, and the third is business and economics. So let's see how many intellectual properties we have. The first one here we have is copyright. Now what exactly this copyright is? Copyright is taken only because nobody should copy. So that's the reason they actually go with. So copyright is the right to not copy. To not copy. It is offered when the original idea is expressed by the creator or author. Nobody can take it. If they want to take it, they are supposed to take the permission of a person whose the copyright has been given it. So that is what copyright is. Now, it is a right conferred upon the creators of literary, artistic, musical, sound recording and cinematography films. Now, in the films also you have seen copyright. Nobody can actually take those contents. If they want to take it, now they are supposed to ask permission and they are supposed to pay the royalty. Second is trademark. Now TM, you would have seen, say example, we have Microsoft. Microsoft has a company, right? Microsoft. They have something called the trademark. Now trademark is any word, name or symbol of their combination that lets us identify the goods made by an individual, company, organization, etc. Now Microsoft, they go with n number of services. Now wherever they go, Microsoft team, trademark is there. That is why you will recognize them that okay, this is what the company is. Trademark also lets us differentiate the goods of one company from another. The minute you see the trademark, you will actually see which company, which industry, which kind of a thing is, then you will identify the company as well. Next one we have is the non-conventional as well as conventional trademark. What are this conventional and non-conventional? First is words, color, combination, label, logo, packaging, shape of goods, etc. are called as the conventional trademark. Now, non-conventional means under this category, those marks are considered which were not considered distinctly previously but started getting recognition with the passage of time, that is sound mark, dynamic mark. Those are called non-conventional trademarks. So here the registration of trademark is not mandatory under the Trademark Act 1999, but if you register, it will be more of authenticity will be more. So that is what in the 1999 trademark only they say registration is not compulsory. That is what you are supposed to understand. Next one, when we go with it, we have the next topic that is called the geographical indication. Say a geographical indication, that is called as GI, is primarily an indication which identifies agricultural, natural or manufactured product, that is handicraft, industrial goods and foodstuffs originating from a definite geographical territory. Say example, you have Kashmir. The minute you hear the word Kashmir, people will always feel that it's like the apple. There are few which are like very common, like if you say somebody called Mandya, it's a district, right, geographical region, people say it as sugar cane. There are few kind of a geographical identification where if you go and if you tell somebody Assam, they'll actually tell tea. If you tell Coorg, it is all about pepper, it's all about coffee. So it's all the geographical indicators, that is we call it as GI. Next one is patent. Now what exactly the patent is all about? A patent is a type of IPR, that is intellectual property right, which protects the scientific inventions. Anybody who does it for the first time, you are supposed to go and take patent. So nobody else can actually work on it. If they need to work on it, they are supposed to come and ask your permission, which shows technical advancement over the already known product. So a patent is an exclusive right granted by the government which provides the exclusive right to exclude all others and prevent them from making, using, offering for sale or selling or importing the invention. So this is what the patent you are supposed to go with. The next one is called design. Now anybody who ever have designed something, and if they take a design kind of a intellectual property right, now what happens is nobody else can take the same. You would have seen so many images where they would have already taken a design. Next we have is plant variant. Now plant variant here also is essentially grouping plant into category based of their botanical characteristics. Now botanical characteristics, whatever it is, they'll only group it. Say you have here the onions kind of a thing. So the onion family, whichever is there, that is all categorized as one, that we call it as plant variant. And the last one here we have semiconductor, that is integrated circuits layout designs. Even the technology which it goes with, they are supposed to take the IPR. That is, a semiconductor is an integral part of every computer chip. Any product that contains the transistors and other circuits elements used and formed in the semiconductor material has an insulating the material or inside the semiconductor material. So the design is the perform and electronic circuitry functions. So these are the design layout which happens in the semiconductor as well. You will get a question for only 1 mark, that is semiconductors, what exactly it helps in. You people can write about the chips which has been explained to you. And the last heading is called IP and the business. Now here what happens, please do understand, every business, if there is no innovation, if there is no technology which helps them to boost their profit or the wealth maximization, they will actually go away from the competition, and some other day they'll have the they are supposed to wind up the business. So here it is equally essential to respect others' IP, not only on ethical grounds but also legal. So here what exactly the IP will be is like any business whichever is like continuously innovating and think ahead, otherwise what will happen is they will definitely come to a closure. So IP and the business is very, very important. So this is what the entire small business and entrepreneurship development was. Any doubt you have, please do call us. We are always there to help you. Thank you so much. I'll see you when I see you.